Welcome to the realm of magic and mystery, classic horror and sci-fi. You are now entering the House of the Unusual podcast with your hosts, Eddie and Joe. Ho, ho, ho! All you cool ghouls and friendly fiends, welcome to the House of the Unusual podcast. I'm your host, Joe Pavlansky, and with me as always is the maestro of mail order mysteries, Eddie Guevara. Also with us tonight on this special Christmas episode, we have horror magician extraordinaire Chuck Caputo and his wife, Cheri.
Hello.
What's up, everybody?
Hello, guys.
Ho, ho, ho.
Ho, 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 and Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
We were just a few days away from the big day, man, the one day that the whole kid year revolves around, as they would say, Gene Shepard said in A Christmas Story. And that's very true. And, I like to think about it even as an adult, it still revolves around it because it's nice to be, a kid every once in a while. So today is our Christmas episode, and we are going to talk about some Christmas memories past, get a little nostalgic on all you out there listeners. And hopefully, jar some Christmas memories that you have hidden away in your mind and all that. And maybe you'll remember some of the fondness that you had as a child. And, it'll start to brighten up your Christmases coming up this week and in the future. So before we get started on that, and I tell you what, I have a great story on how when I was young, how me and my sister formulated a plan to catch Santa Claus and almost caught him. And I'm going to tell you guys about that later in the podcast. But first, let's give it over to Chuck and Cheri and see how you guys are doing over there in Western Pennsylvania. I know it's cold and a little bit snowy over here in Eastern Ohio. So how you guys doing over there?
Hey, how's it going?
Real good, thanks.
Yeah, it is. It is very cold. I was outside building some banisters out in front of our house. I was out there for about 2 hours. I come up, I was so cold. I mean, I was chilled to the bone, man. I had to stand on the heat register, and but yeah, it is very cold. So
We
it
don't have any snow though.
No.
It's just really
No snow.
no snow. Yeah, not yet. Anyway, Joe. Who knows? It might be coming from your way. I guess I don't.
So, yeah.
Yeah, we've been having all day, just real light flurries and all that. So I don't know if it dissipated by the time I got to you or which direction it was heading.
I tell you what, the way it's been though, the last few weeks, you can't beat it, man. Just a little while ago, right, Cheri? It was
50s.
Yeah, by 57 degrees. I mean,
nice.
Unbelievable.
Heat wave.
Yeah, they're calling, I think, for here over in Eastern Ohio, Northeast Ohio, I think mid-50s on Christmas with a 70% chance of rain. I'm like, it's not going to feel like Christmas, man.
No, it's not. It's going to rain here on Christmas.
Yeah,
too.
just like you said, when we were kids, man, we always had a white Christmas.
We
I remember, we would wake up and it was almost always, at least some snow. But now, wow, I don't know with this global warming or whatever. I don't know what the heck.
I'm beginning to not like you guys, man, because that means if you have a bad weather over there, I'm going to get it in Jersey in a week or so. Thanks a lot.
Probably, yeah.
Some Christmas present, that is,
So speaking of Jersey, what's going on over there, Eddie? Are you still stuffing your face? Are you able to talk?
Let me put it this way. Oh gosh. I got really excited right now that Amazon gives me a call and they just dropped off a package, which I think is the shrink wrap for the magic sets. That's the only thing that's ready to finish them. And I had the wrong size, so I ordered it last night, and it came today already. I was shocked.
That's bad.
Yeah, I got this. The best thing about this magic set, it's got a Houdini letter inside that it's phenomenal. I'm not going to say much about it, except when people get it, they can see what it is.
Oh my goodness!
Phenomenal.
Yeah,
and
this letter is too cool, man. It is.
Wow.
It is so neat. Oh.
And it comes directly from the grave, so you can't beat that, man. We took it right out of his pillow. When they buried him, he had all those letters. We took the letter right underneath his pillow, my friend.
You know what's strange? Houdini died on Halloween night, man. Can you believe that? Unbelievable.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, unreal. Wow.
Hey, Chuck, were you ready to podcast last night about 8 o'clock or so, 9 o'clock?
Yeah, it was all set, man. And then Eddie called me up. And he said, "Oh, I got the wrong day." I said, "Oh, okay, all right."
Oh, I'm like, what the hell? I'm at a work Christmas party, and I'm sitting there. I couldn't answer the phone or nothing because there was music going. So I'm sitting there drinking a beer and having a cigar, and I see my phone's blowing up. Eddie's calling, asking about the podcast, and I'm like, what is he doing? It's Tuesday. What is he talking about? It's here. He meant, next week because we were going to record a day earlier, and I'm like, oh, he got his days way off.
Well,
Yeah.
hey, I'll tell you what, I've been getting.
We're all mixed up.
Oh man, I've been getting things backwards for the last 5 years, but now it's even worse. Holy smokes!
Look, this is all Joe's fault, Chuck. This is Joe's fault because notice even you today you called me by accident thinking I'm Richie.
Yeah.
That's 'cause of Joe. Yesterday he confused us all.
Well, I tell you what, I made a little gaffe on Monday morning because I'm on vacation this week and next week from work. So Sunday night was my last night at work. I got off at 6 a.m. Monday morning. So usually my last night of work is Tuesday night. I get off 6 a.m. on Wednesday, and I come home and I take the trash out because it gets picked up about 7 or 8. So my days are all thrown off now. So I'm getting off at 6 a.m. and I'm in my mind thinking, okay, I'm done with work. And I got to get the trash out because it's Wednesday. So I'm like, my wife's like, what are you doing? I'm like, taking the trash out. She goes, it's Monday morning. I'm like, oh, that's right. I'm like, my days are all screwed up.
Yeah. It happens, man. I'll tell you, one of these days I'm going to do a show because I have a lot of preset, what for these shows. One of these days I'm going to do a show and I'm going to show the box, supposedly empty, and I'm going to snap my fingers and there's not going to be anything in there. I'm going to forget to load the rabbit one of these days.
Yeah.
I mean, sooner or later, man, it's got to happen. I'm telling you. I don't know.
Not for a while.
I hope not.
Yeah, it's a busy time of year, man, with tons of Christmas parties, last minute gifts, and everything else that goes with it. I spent all day yesterday before the Christmas party wrapping gifts. I played. Have you guys seen that movie Scrooged with Bill Murray?
Oh,
yeah.
I love that movie. Yeah. Really.
Yeah, so I put that on yesterday while I was wrapping gifts and everything, and oh man, I haven't watched that in a couple of years. I just love it. Bobcat Goldthwait is absolutely hilarious.
Oh yeah. Whatever happened to him? He was hot about 25, 30 years ago, and you don't really see him much. If today, you don't probably see him at all, if ever. Right?
Yeah, I don't think he's really been in too much stuff. Not that I know of, but yeah, he was huge in the 80s and early to mid 90s.
Yeah, he had that personality where he'd scream when he talked and stuff. That was his gimmick. Yeah, he was.
Yeah,
cool.
But he was hilarious in there towards the end when he came in with the shotgun. And
I remember that.
Going after Bill Murray. Oh yeah, that was a great movie. So I watched that while wrapping some gifts yesterday. Before next thing I know, 2.5 hours passed, and I had to get ready for the Christmas party and everything. But man, there's just so much to do. It's just crazy.
I haven't done any packing yet. Got to do. I got a little insight as to Chuck. If that ever happens with you on the little rabbit, you have been saying that your wife is really attached to it. So probably it would be that you pack it in the box and then your wife takes it out and she doesn't tell you, and you go to the show and then the rabbit's missing.
Yeah,
that's true.
It could be that she took the rabbit out on you.
Oh yeah. Oh, she attached to this rabbit. We paid $25 for it off of Craigslist.
Oh, he's so cute.
And she probably spent $300 on all the apparatus. It's ridiculous.
He's adorable.
He is cute.
Our pitbull likes him.
Yeah, the pitbull. Yeah. Pitbull. We have a pitbull. He even likes him, Chief.
Yeah.
Oh, really? Nice.
Yeah.
Don't tell Joe he might get a rabbit now. The wife is going to throw him out because he has 4 dogs already.
No. I got 2 dogs and that's enough, man. No more animals, man.
Yeah, that's
but hey guys, we're talking about Christmas movies. We're talking about Scrooge, and real quick, I got some Christmas movies for everyone out there because we've all watched the same stuff kind of over and over every year. Christmas Story, National Lampoon's Vacation, all the Rankin Bass, classics, which are all great movies and all that. But I got 2 that are just out of this world that maybe a lot of people haven't seen them, and maybe there's some good reason for that because they're really obscure. And one of them even made the list of 100 worst movies of all times. But I'm sure maybe you guys have heard of this. So the first one is called Santa Claus. from 1959, and it's sometimes referred to as Santa Claus versus the Devil. Have you guys heard of this one?
No,
No.
I've never heard of it.
That's something different.
Really,
No.
it's a 1959 Mexican fantasy film, and it is it's pretty fun, I guess. Funny, fun. Kind of the synopsis of it is that Santa Claus works in outer space and he does battle with a demon named Pitch, who's sent to Earth by Lucifer to ruin Christmas by killing Santa and making all the children of the Earth do evil. And it is definitely like a Z type movie. It's really.
Wow.
I mean, it's something like you got to wonder if like the directors and writers were just high on acid the whole time while they were writing this and putting it together, because it's a crazy film, and it's fun, but it's crazy.
Joe, I
Eddie,
need to break in a second really quick. Remember about that Santa Claus film? It has the robot in there, and that's where I got my plans from. So don't belittle my film, okay?
Does that have the plans in it?
Well, no, but it has the perfect looking robot.
Oh yeah.
All right, so thank you.
I tell you what, it's all Mystery Science Theater did a good lampooning of it as well. If you could find that one. So, like I said, it's something different. It's very, I guess that's all I could say is different. So definitely check it out. So the second one, this one's a classic too, and it's one of my favorite holiday ones, and it's called Santa Claus Conquers the Martians from 1964. Have you guys heard this one?
No, I'm gonna have to check these out. No.
Oh man, this is it's like a science fiction comedy, and what it is Martians, they are worrying about their kids watching too much Earth TV and all that, and so they kidnap Santa Claus and bring him to Mars to pass out presents to the kids. And it's another crazy one that was also lampooned by Mystery Science Theater, and it's a lot of times hailed as one of the worst films ever made. It's always on the list, but there is one redeeming aspect of this movie, and it is the first documented appearance of Miss Rich plays out of Mrs. Claus. So very cool. And you know what? It predates Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. I think that debuted December 6th. Well, this one was November 14th. So about a month or so, it beat Rudolph as portraying Mrs. Claus on the silver screen. So pretty cool.
Yeah, I'll definitely check these out, man.
So if anybody out there's never heard of them, definitely they're well worth a watch. I got both of them on DVD because I love them so much. It's like one of those they're so bad they're good type deals. But I tell you what's really cool too, if you could find the posters of them, they both got amazing posters to them. The artwork and everything on them is just fantastic.
Now, Joe, which is the one that has the robot? The first one, right? Martians?
No, Santa Claus Conquers the Martians has the robot on it, and he has like the square body.
Yes, that's the one. I'm sorry, I made a mistake. That's the one that I like. So don't belittle my film, okay? Thank you.
Yeah, the robot is pretty cool, and if you guys out there have watched any of the old serials from like the 30s and 40s, early 50s, that robot's kind of reminiscent of the robots you would see in a lot of those serial cliffhangers.
For those that have kids, and Chuck, I think this would be if you look at the Shiny Time Station TV show back in the 80s or 90s with Mr. Schemer and stuff, Schemer's robot looks identical to that. So I think they took that right off of that movie.
Oh, I think our kids used to watch that back.
Yeah, well, if you watch Schemer's Robot, you'll see that it's a reproduction because I'm a robot fanatic. And yes, I watched those CG or whatever movies you call them. I kind of like that film, Mr. Joe there. I feel insulted that you belittle my robot.
Never. I tell you what, it's a great movie. Both of them are great. Like I said, they're so bad that they're good. And every year I have to watch both of them because it's part of my Christmas viewing.
Oh, cool. Wow. We went to a place, I think I mentioned it to you guys a couple podcasts ago. We stopped at a place in Pittsburgh here called the Tipsy Elf.
That was fun.
Oh, it was so cool, man. The rooms were all decorated, and as a matter of fact, if you go on YouTube, Cheri put a little video on there. I had the Santa hat where you push the button and it flops back and forth like it waves and everything. It was really cool, man. It was a beautiful It was a beautiful place. They had the rooms decorated really neat, and we stayed there. I guess about 90 minutes. Huh?
Yeah.
And we had a couple drinks, and then we left. But it was cool, man. So
Yeah,
yeah,
I seen the video you sent. It looked really really awesome there, man.
yeah.
Yeah,
Hey Chuck,
you
Chuck,
forgot to
what else
mention.
Go
I
ahead,
was
Eddie.
going to say you forgot to mention that the elf was tipsy.
Yeah, I guess he was tipsy a little bit. I don't know.
I told you the tipsy elf. Go ahead.
But hey Chuck, I checked out that you mentioned that North Pole, Alaska.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, Fairbanks,
Oh
Alaska.
man, that's really cool.
Doesn't that look neat, man? You know,
Yeah.
God willing, I would love to go there one of these years. That would be so cool.
I'm telling you, I mean, it's like Christmas year round. Everything's Christmas themed, all the roads and everything. It's really cool.
I know that would be really neat. That would be really cool. And it's not the actual North Pole, because I don't think a regular civilian could even go through the actual North Pole. But this is the closest thing to it. So that would be cool.
Yeah, definitely cool. So hey, let's get into some old or nostalgic stories about Christmas, and I'm going to turn it over to you two, Chuck and Cheri. What's some of your fondest memories of Christmas past?
Well, I tell you what, I'm the youngest. You know, I have two older sisters and an older brother, and yeah, it was a lot of fun. You know what, growing up as a kid, we were a working class family. We did not have a lot of money or anything, but it was pretty cool. You know what? I would put milk and cookies out for Santa, and one year I actually snuck down the steps. I caught my dad eating the cookies. Yeah, and he said, "Get out of here, go back up to bed." So,
Was that the year it all ended?
yeah, I was kind of disappointed, but he was chowing down too, man. He was drinking the milk and chomping it. I said, "What's going on?" I couldn't believe it. But yeah, it was a lot of fun growing up, and and my brother was 7 years older than me. And he had the coolest toys because of the fact, I was born in 1964, so he was born in 1956. So like the earlier toys I can remember from him, which is kind of cool. Like the full size GI Joes we talked about before,
Yeah.
and certain games. What, I grew up on the Fright Factory, the Thing Maker, and so he would play with that with me and stuff. It was kind of cool. We were big on BB guns, and he'd always get like a shooting gallery type of thing where you shoot the real BBs, like at the moving targets and so forth. And yeah, it was pretty cool. Like I said, you know what, we were just an average family, but it was a lot of fun. How about you, Cheri?
Yeah, we were an average family as well. We didn't live actually that far from you.
Yeah, that's right.
It was amazing, huh? And I had a little sister. She's 4 years younger than me. And Christmas was always so magical. You're always wondering if you could catch Santa. And we did. We left cookies and milk out as well. We were never fortunate enough to find anybody eating them or whatever. But we always had good Christmases, even though, like my family, we didn't have a lot of money as well. But fond memories of family getting together.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Didn't your mom cook a lot? She cooked a lot on Christmas?
Yeah, she did. She always made good meals and everything. So
yeah,
it was a good time, good memories.
Yeah, absolutely. I tell you what, everyone leaves out milk and cookies, but in my family, and when we came from, middle class working family, didn't have much money growing up. We did what we could, but every year I wanted to leave out milk and cookies, and my dad said, no, Santa Claus, he gets enough milk. He wants a shot of whiskey to warm him up.
I love it.
So every year we left out a shot of whiskey, some cookies, and then dog biscuits for the reindeers.
Oh,
I didn't think of that. That's kind of cute. Wow.
That is sweet.
But yeah, I'd never forget that. We never left out milk. It was always a shot of whiskey because Santa Claus, he gets enough milk. He needs a shot of whiskey to warm himself up.
That's true, yeah.
Cool.
So how about you, Eddie? What's some Christmas memories past?
Well, the funny thing about me is I had a lot of cousins, and my family's pretty big, so it was just me. I was a single kid at the time. I'm 18 years older than my brother, so he wasn't born when I was very little. But one of the funnest thing was kind of funny is that I got in trouble one time because I was telling my cousin that Santa Claus wasn't real. And we went to where my grandmother's bedroom was, and we found a bunch of toys on top of this wardrobe they had. And I remember my mother kind of yelling at me, like, "What are you doing? What are you guys looking up there?" And I found the toys. But my warmest memory for Christmas will always, I think, be the year 1976 or 75. I think it was 75. where I got the Haunted Mansion game, which I mentioned before. I got the TV Magic set, the deluxe black Magic set.
Oh, yeah, I forgot about that. Yep.
I bought that, and I also got the Ghost Gun from Hasbro. And those 3 toys, and a couple of months earlier from Christmas, I got the Gunfighter OK Corral.
Oh, I remember that. That was neat.
That's
Yeah,
neat.
those were like the best games in the world. I also had another one called Tank Command, which had 5 tanks in each side, and it was like gunfight. And you would push the tanks each way, and then you would pull a little cord, and the tank would be knocked over. Yeah, that was my fondest memory of Christmas, and I loved it because every time Christmas would come, I get so many toys, you know. So I looked forward, and what I would do is I would open them, but not open them out of the box. I would actually make a pyramid of all the boxes next to my bed, go to sleep, and get ready the next day to look them over. But I opened them very carefully.
Yeah.
Each one.
Yeah, because you know what? I still have my original thing maker. I think the date on it is 1966 because my parents probably bought it in like 68. It was on the shelf somewhere in one of the department stores. But yeah, I got it from 1966. It's still in good shape, man. It has all the, it has the heating elements. Of course, the goop little squeeze things, they're all dried up, but it has the original containers and everything. Yeah, I was very, very careful about that kind of stuff. And hey, how about some of these old Christmas commercials, man?
They're the best. The best.
Oh, unbelievable! Wow.
Yeah, I tell you what, they don't make them like they used to, especially that came out, around the 70s, 80s, and 90s. And what's great is that you could go on YouTube and find just tons of collections of Christmas commercials going back from the 50s, all the way to present day. And the old ones are always the best, man. I always like the Coca-Cola ones and the M&M ones. I thought were great.
Those are great. Oh, they're fantastic. And then we had the greatest entertainment too, man. Back when we were kids. Well, this is probably a little before your time, Joe, but Ed Sullivan. That was fantastic, man. He had I was just watching a few clips the other day. If you watch on YouTube, you could search magicians on the Ed Sullivan Show. Some fantastic stuff on there, man. They were the top of the line magicians worldwide. He'd get them from all across the world. And they were really talented.
Now here's a question that, because we talked a lot about Christmas and everyone always talks about Christmas Day, but did you guys have any traditions that you did for Christmas Eve?
Yeah, you know what? Me being Italian, or mostly Italian, yeah, they do the 7 fishes, where they eat 7 different types of sea animals, creatures. It could be like octopus, different kinds of things like that. And yeah, you know what? That's the cool thing about America. I think everybody brings their traditions, with them. Did you have anything, Cheri?
Well, our favorite thing was for Christmas Eve was going to the midnight service, but it wasn't really midnight, but we'd have the candlelit service.
Right.
For Christmas Eve at our church. And then my mom would make these sandwiches. We still make them every year.
Yeah, Cheri brought that into her marriage. Yeah,
our little tradition. Yeah, we're going to have them this Christmas Eve.
Tell them what it is.
It's really a simple sandwich. You just get regular little buns, regular like hamburger buns, Isley's chipped ham, Swiss cheese, and then there's the thing that you put on there. The spread is butter, dill, and Dijon mustard, and you mix that up. But then you roll them in aluminum foil, put them in the oven for about 15-20 minutes till it melts.
Oh man, these are so good.
And the combination, it is so good.
You guys really have to try this. I'm telling you.
Yeah, that sounds like a good Slovak or Polish type sandwich.
Yeah, you know what? It's definitely not Italian. I never heard of it.
Then why are you doing it, Chuck?
Well, I tell you what, it is really good.
Because it's so good.
I don't care what it is. If it's good, I'll eat it, man. Yeah.
So what about you, Eddie? What do you got for Christmas Eve?
Well, here's the funny thing. We actually celebrated Christmas on Christmas Eve, not Christmas Day. The Hispanics, usually the Cubans around my area, what they would do is they wait till 12 midnight. That's when everybody opened their toys. That's why I always, like I said, I would stack them, and then the next day I opened them, because it would be late and everybody would be tired. And they would make us wait till 12 o'clock to open the toys, and everybody had dinner. So the entire family would be over. You had, it was a big family event. And then at night, everybody got the gifts, and then that was it. Everybody just tore the paper apart. And I still remember one Christmas day when my aunt bought me and gave me a Halloween Superman costume. Now I used to watch George Reeves every day on Super, at 3 p.m. or I think it was 5 p.m. on Channel 11. So having that costume, that was like the greatest gift ever. Because I saw the S and I didn't realize. And then when I put it on, I'm like, wait a second, where are the briefs, man? There's no briefs in the costume. But and then you had the red mask. You had like a red Robin mask, which wasn't even the face of Superman, which I thought that was kind of unique. But the fact that it was Superman costume, it overshadowed the fact that it had so many things that were not the same. Like I said, you have a red Robin mask, and like the Joker, not the Joker. Oh my God, what's the name of that guy?
Batman?
No, that was. I think you're talking
with
about
Bruce Lee. With Bruce Lee, what the heck is the name of that?
Oh, Kato.
Green
Kato.
Arrow. Yeah, like Green Arrow or Kato
Green
had a
Hornet.
mask like
Green
that.
Hornet.
It was red. Green Hornet. That's right. And he had a mask like that, and it was red. So I also remember my aunt giving me a Mickey Mouse camera. It was the head of Mickey Mouse, and the lens would be his nose, and you would look through his, like in between his eyes was the viewfinder.
I never saw that. Oh.
If you look, it's an old Mickey Mouse hat. It was probably this was probably 1974, 73.
Yeah.
It's right before the 1976. But getting to the commercial, there was one particular commercial, and I know you're going to remember this, Chuck. And also, Chuck, do you remember Wonderama? That they would give away all the free toys to kids?
Oh, absolutely. Yep.
I used to love that show. But the one commercial that stood out to me was they used to advertise first Rock'em Sock'em Robots were big. So, of course, everybody saw that commercial.
Oh, I love that. We had that, too. That was cool.
But there was one called Knuckle Busters. Now, Knuckle Busters looked like two really strong guys with bulging muscles. And you used to squeeze instead of like the Rock'em Sock'em Robots, you push down on the hand thing. This you would squeeze like a bulb, and it caused air to shoot out the hand. But actually, what it did was the hand or the muscles, the fist would pop out like a skinny stick would be in it, and it was air. And you would punch the other one in the nose, and it will fall back. But it had a record that came with it. And when you saw the commercials for it, which I'm sure you can watch on YouTube and see what I'm saying, it looked like they were actually punching each other. And you would see them move back and forth. And when I actually got the original, I'm like, wait a minute, this is a piece of junk. You would press the valve, and sometimes the hands wouldn't even pop out. Nothing like Rock'em Sock'em Robots, But that's how I'm saying that they were really good at advertising and taking away the imagination of kids. That's what my best memories.
Well, that's awesome. Yeah, for us, for Christmas Eve, it was, back when I was younger, all the, some family members, a lot more friends would come over. It was more of a time, to get together with friends, whereas Christmas Day was family. So we would have, traditional hunky food there, a lot of sausage, kibasi, pierogi, sauerkraut, shrimp, all that stuff, tons of cookies. And it was real weird because it was always we had a Cape Cod where we grew up, and all the women would stay in the kitchen area around the table, and all the men would go in the basement, and everyone would stay separate and drink and, watch TV. And the kids would stay in the living room watching cartoons. So that was how it was when I was, younger. Then as I got older, it was more of the same thing, just a day of friends, and the same thing, women would be around the table. The men would be in the basement watching, football or Christmas Story, and everyone would be drinking, smoking cigars. And, that's kind of what we've done as long as I can remember for Christmas Eve. And then, usually we would be able to open one gift on Christmas Eve, something that was small.
Oh yeah. Yeah. You know what? We did that too, but I'm such a goofy guy. I would be the one watching the cartoons.
Well, now we put on A Christmas Story in the basement. So it's on, I think TNT or TBS 24 hours. So
yeah, that's right.
Yeah, we start watching that because I think usually everyone goes to mass now early, like about, I think it's 4 or 6 o'clock. So like around 7 or 8 o'clock, everybody, goes to my parents' house. Whereas, years ago, 80s and 90s, I remember mass being around 8 or 9, and then people would get over there till about 10. And I tell you what, we would we would be partying until 3, 4 in the morning there. So, sometimes they went pretty long, but yeah, it was a nice time. And then, like I said, Christmas was the day for family. You would go to all the different, houses and do all that stuff. A lot of eating, a lot of cookies.
Oh, absolutely. I tell you what, there's not a day that doesn't go by that I don't think of my mom and dad and my grandmother. I mean, they were fantastic people. Are your parents still around, Joe?
Yeah, they're both still alive. My dad, he retired a couple years ago, and my mom, she works part-time at a hospital. So yeah, they're still around and still going strong.
Thank God. Yeah, my dad died in 92, my mother 2001. But I tell you what, they were good parents, man. I mean, I think of them, you know what, like literally every day. I mean, that's something you never get out of your mind.
I tell you though, what's sad, I mean, to me it's sad, but at the same time, it's kind of, I'm kind of happy is, Christmas Eve when all of our friends would come over. Well, now, and they were mostly, my parents' friends, and, their kids are about, my age, some a little bit younger. But now as we got older, a lot of them don't come over anymore because now they have kids, or I mean, their kids have kids and they families, so they spend it with them. So now usually on Christmas Eve, it's kind of just me, my wife, my sister and her husband and kids will come over, and maybe 1 or 2 friends, maybe our aunt and uncle or something. So it's kind of dwindled down over the years, but, only because all of our friends, they have grandkids now, so they're spending Christmas Eve with the families and everything. But it's kind of sad because I remember those good days when there would be, 20, 30 people there and everyone would be partying, till the wee hours of the morning. And now there's only, maybe 5 or 8 people there. So
yeah, it does happen that way.
It dwindles down.
Especially when like a grandmother or a grandfather passes away, when like the patriarch or the matriarch pass away. Things tend to break apart, man. That's exactly what happened. It's unfortunate, but that is the way it goes.
Yeah, I always hope that, if, in the future, whenever my parents pass, because, it's inevitable. Everyone goes and they're getting up in age. But I'm hoping I'm able to carry on that Christmas Eve tradition, at my house and have, friends and some family over.
You know what? Do it, Joe. That's a good goal, man. Go out of your way and try and make it happen.
That's correct, man.
Yep.
We used to get in my aunt's house, and we had 100 people there, and it dwindled down. We're right now, actually, we go like to my daughter's house and stuff. I mean, I have to work this Christmas Eve and Christmas Day, so I won't be there. But they have, a pretty gathering out of my grandchildren and everything. But Joe, I'm surprised you didn't tell me the story you told a while back that when you were trying to catch Santa Claus, you decided to put X-Lax in the cookies to see if you could catch it. And the next day your father grounded you?
Yeah, because he was in the toilet all day.
Was that the story, Joe?
No, but I tell you what, this is how serious we were about catching Santa Claus when I was young. Now, my sister's 4 years younger than me. So I was probably about 6 at the time, maybe
You
7.
were the evil one. Good.
Yeah, pretty. So we would, the days leading up to Christmas, we would start to plan on what we were going to do to catch Santa Claus. Because now, like I said, we lived in a Cape Cod. So I had a bedroom in the attic, and then my sister was on the first floor. And we had a partial finished basement where my parents, they usually stayed down there, watched TV, had a few beers, whatever. That was kind of like their den room. So we knew that they would always be down there until they were ready to go to bed, and then they would come upstairs. So the days leading up to Christmas, we would start planning out, what are we going to do to catch Santa Claus? So, because I was the older one, so I was a little bit more experienced in trying to catch Santa Claus. I knew that there were certain things that we had to do to not alert my parents that we were awake and trying to catch Santa Claus. So the first one was, since I was in the attic, and we had an older house, I think it was built in 56, and the stairs were wooden. Well, what happens when you walk down some of those stairs? They start squeaking.
Yeah.
And years prior to that, I'd hit some of those steps, and my parents said, "Go back to bed, Joe." So I couldn't have that. So the day before, or it was either that morning or something, I would check those steps. And everyone that would squeak, I would leave something on that step so I knew to step over it. Yeah, how ingenious, at 6, 7 years old. So I went through the steps. Yeah. Everyone that squeaked, I put something on the steps. I checked it, double checked it. So then the next one was, how am I going to get my sister's attention? If I'm in the downstairs. So I couldn't go to her room because I would be kind of passing my parents' room, and, it might start squeaking the floors or whatnot, or they might see me or hear me. So I knew that when her door was open, the bed was right there. If I threw something on her bed, she might wake up. So on the bottom of the steps in the little corner, I kept some stuffed animals that I was able to throw on her bed, and they wouldn't make a sound, and it would wake her up.
Wow, you really had this plan pretty good.
Oh, it gets even better. So I had all those down there. So now the second thing was, okay, once I make it into the living room, then what do I do? Because, you're out in the open. So we had this long couch against the wall, and I said, if I could get behind that couch, I said, I could hide back there, and when I hear Santa Claus come down the chimney, I could jump out and catch him. I said, but if I move the couch while my parents are sleeping, they're going to hear it, They're going to hear it rubbing against it, probably me making some grunting noises because it's a big couch, and, I'm 6, 7 years old. So prior to going to bed that night, me and my sister moved the couch out a little bit from the wall, enough that I could get back there, but not enough that my parents would notice. So I had that all set up, and hey, I was ready to catch Santa Claus, man. We had everything set. The steps were good. I had the ways to wake my sister up, and I had the perfect spot, behind the couch, to catch Santa Claus. So, we go to bed. It's 10 o'clock or so, and my parents are down in the basement, and I'm staying awake. I'm waiting for them to get down there. I'm waiting a few minutes so they get settled in and all that, and I could start sneaking downstairs. So I creep downstairs. I step over the steps. I knew which ones, were going to make noise. Perfectly quiet down there. Toss some things in my sister's room to wake her up so that she knows I'm up. And I go in the living room, get behind the couch to catch Santa Claus. And that's when everything falls apart.
Uh-oh.
Because now it's, 10, 11 o'clock, and my parents, they're not going to bed till late. So, they're still downstairs partying and everything, and the lights are still on, and there's no Santa or nothing. And, I knew that they had to go to bed before Santa Claus got there because, he doesn't want to be seen. So I'm behind the couch, and my little 6, 7, it's starting to get late, and I haven't slept. So fall asleep behind the couch. Next thing I know, I wake up, the living room's dark, the tree's lit. I pop up, and there's presents under the tree, and the cookies and whiskey's gone. I said, son of a gun, I fell asleep and missed Santa Claus.
Is that cool? That's a good story, man.
And I said, and my sister, she fell back to sleep too. And it was just, I said, man, after all that planning, we had days of planning. Everything was perfect. And I fell asleep behind the couch, and I never heard my parents up there putting out gifts or nothing. And they never knew I was behind there, but I woke up and the lights were off, tree on, gifts under there.
Wow, that's really
okay. And I said, man, really I miss Santa Claus. I said, son of a gun.
Did you ever tell them?
Yeah, I told them, when I got older and all that, and they were laughing. They're like, we never knew you were, behind there, never seen the couch, all, pushed out or anything like that, or never even heard you guys. So I was kind of proud that, we were able to sneak around without getting heard. But, subsequent years, after the year or so after that, I would still use the marking of the steps because I would wait till my parents went to sleep. But, I knew that, after I didn't believe in Santa Claus no more because, I was a foolish, grown man at, 8, 9 years old, but my sister still did. So we would, still wake up 3, 4 in the morning, excited, wanting to open our presents. So I would still use the marking of the steps so that I could get down, throw some stuffed animals at her to wake her up, and then we would come out. But usually we always somehow or another got caught. So
man, that's the cute little. I remember I used to. Whoop, I'm picking up.
You got the echo.
Let me kill that echo a little bit all over this. I used to walk by my brother's room, and I'd bonk him in the head with a beer bottle. I'd throw it in there, but that was about it. Nothing really out of the ordinary.
Yeah, but I could still remember, man, just the magic of that morning when you still believed in Santa Claus and that he actually came to your house and you seen the presents, you seen, the stockings hanging by the fireplace with some toys and candy in it, and just, with the tree lit on and it was just, I don't think even today there's nothing that could replicate that magical feeling of being 5, 6 years old and standing in your living room looking at the presents, the tree, and the stockings, and the half-eaten cookies, and shot of whiskey that's gone. So
I love that whiskey. That's a good
Yeah.
idea. That's
Yeah,
cool.
and then the dad going, "Ooh, that X-Lax. Wait till I get that guy, man."
yeah,
That's really cute.
but I tell you what, that magical feeling, there's nothing to replicate it. And
No,
just
absolutely.
thinking about it, I could still kind of feel it a little bit, and it was, it was such an amazing time. And still, as an adult, my wife always laughs at me, but I said, it's just, maybe one day out of the year we try to be a little bit younger in spirit and in heart, and try to, enjoy Christmas, even if it's, us giving gifts to one another, husband and wife, just to keep that good natured feeling of Christmas morning. I think it's very important.
Oh, absolutely, man. Well, you know what? Our local newscasts here in Pittsburgh, when I was a kid, they'd even say, "Oh, we saw Santa on the radar. He was just, yeah. Do you remember that?
I do.
Yeah, they'd say he just crossed Pittsburgh. He'll be coming into Pittsburgh a little later on.
Show the sleigh and the reindeer.
Yeah, they show
like
the
on
sleigh.
the screen.
That was kind of cool. Yeah, that was
where
a
he
nice.
was at.
That was a nice touch.
And
Yeah, that's really
Mr.
cool.
Rogers' Neighborhood.
We heard the fire trucks tonight.
Yeah, just
They
before.
had Santa.
Yeah, just before the
coming through.
podcast come on, there was fire whistles blowing all over. I was wondering what is going.
What a big fire! Then I remembered. Oh, that must be Santa.
It was Santa. Yeah.
Aw.
Yeah, but I was saying, Chuck, didn't you say Mr. Rogers? I said maybe he lands in Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood. Isn't he?
Yeah,
He was
true.
out of there, wasn't he?
Yeah. Fred Rogers was right here in Pittsburgh, down in Oakland, PA.
Point Breeze, yep.
Point Breeze.
down there.
You're probably only about half hour from our house. If
Not
that.
even, yeah.
Yeah, he was a great man. You didn't hear any kind of controversy with him. He was a good man.
He always took his shoes off and put them on.
Yeah. He wasn't too big for his shoes, man. He put his sweater on, his shoes. He was a nice man. He really was.
You know what? I'm gonna have to search YouTube, because I know he has some Christmas specials and all that. I'm gonna have to find a few of those.
Yeah.
You know, they were too laid back for me, Joe. They were too laid back, man.
Yeah.
I actually tried to get on there. I was talking to Mr. McFeely, I guess about 25 years ago. Yeah, I guess Fred was still making them. I guess he was in the last few seasons, and I talked to the mailman. His name is David Knoll, and I was hoping to get on there, but what to do some magic, but it never transpired. That would have been cool, man.
Oh yeah.
Oh, that would have been unbelievable. You know what? I would have said hi to the neighbors and did some magic. It would have been really neat.
He did send some autographed pictures to our kids.
Yeah, that's right. He was nice enough to send some 8x10 photos of him, of the mailman and Mr. Rogers to our kids, and he signed them.
Oh, that's really cool.
Yeah, I got to give it to them. I got to put it in frames, and I'll surprise them one of these days. So I've had them put away for 25 years.
Yeah.
You think he's still alive, Chuck?
Pardon me?
You think he's still alive?
Who, the mailman?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. He's still alive, I believe, David Newell. Yeah, I believe he is. Most of the cast, especially older ones, I think they're all gone now, except for Joe Negri. I believe Joe Negri is. Yeah, he's in his 90s, I think, about 92.
Who's that now? Who's Joe Negri?
He was Handyman Negri on the show, and he
Oh,
also
okay,
owned,
yeah, that's right.
he also owned the music store. Remember, he would play the guitar and so forth.
That's
Yeah. He was a pretty talented guy. Out here in Pittsburgh, Adventure Time was hosted by Paul Shannon when I was a kid, and then when he retired, Joe Negri took it over. And because of Paul Shannon with his Adventure Time, that helped surge the interest into the Three Stooges. And so they got very, very popular again, like in the mid to late 60s, because of Adventure Time. And you know why? Because he would play their little clips all the time, and it just brought a resurgence. And that particular station, which is still here today, WTAE, it's broadcast through at least the tri-state area. So there's quite a few viewership with it.
You know what's got a big resurgence now for some crazy reason? Vinyl records. My goodness.
Yeah.
It's a big resurgence. But, getting back to Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood, the only thing I mean, like Mr. Rogers, it was kind of like the Garden of Make-Believe. I used to like the Garden of Make-Believe, of course, because, why would I not like the Garden of Make-Believe? But Mr. Rogers sometimes could have gotten it was kind of like the Sunday matinee movies that they always had singing in the 60s. And no matter what movie you watch, they had to sing. and it got to a point that it was kind of boring as a kid. I remember I used to hate when they would start singing in the movies. And
Yeah.
that was like a common thing for any movie, especially in the mid 50s and 60s, to have a singing person. Now, Mr. Rogers did get at times pretty boring, but I'm surprised though he lasted the test of time.
Yes, he did.
Yeah, he was very, very popular and syndicated worldwide. And it all started right here in Pittsburgh. There's two amusement parks around here, Kennywood Park, and there's another one, Idlewild Park, which is in Ligonier, PA. And they had a ride that was dedicated to Mr. Rogers. They just tore it down. It was up for 25 years. It was really cool. You actually ride on the trolley. It takes you through the tunnel. It stops at each place, and it was robotic. Eddie, you would have loved this. There was automatons like the Prince would come out, King Friday would come out, and his mouth would move, and it would be in sync to like a pre-recorded message. Hello,
Now,
people. I'm King Friday, and then he'd talk a while. Then you go on to the next person. It was all automatons.
now let me ask you a question. When you're saying that all automatons, was Mr. Rogers the guy who did the puppets as well, though?
Yeah, right. Yeah, he had puppets that, by today's standards, I guess really didn't look too good because the mouths didn't move or anything. But you know what? But he had a way about him, man. There was something magical about him. They did a story about him. When was that, Cheri? About 3 years ago. If you guys have a chance to watch, it's a
Tom Hanks.
yeah, Tom Hanks played him. Yeah, It's a Wonderful Day in the Neighborhood, I believe it was called.
Yeah.
Watch this movie, man. It is so good. It's based on fact. It's an excellent movie. It was shot right here in Pittsburgh. As a matter of fact, not far from where Cheri, was working as an RN at that time, because I was picking her up once in a while, and they'd block the street off when they were filming it. Remember? Yeah. Well, it was in Squirrel Hill, I think they blocked.
Hey guys, we got about 3 minutes left here in the podcast, so I'm gonna give you guys each about a minute to give your final farewells, your Merry Christmases to whoever you need to, and Chuck and Cheri, we're gonna start off with you guys.
All right. Hey, I just wanted to wish all the listeners a very Merry Christmas. It's been a good year. We've been trying to live with everything as best as we can with all the chaos and everything, making the best of it. God bless. Merry Christmas. And Cheri, what do you?
Yeah, Merry Christmas to everyone, and God bless you, and have a safe and happy holiday.
Yes, God bless everybody. And Joe, you're gonna get in trouble for that X-Lax someday, buddy. All right.
That's right. Yeah. Hey, we want to give a quick thank you to all of our listeners out there. Don't forget to subscribe to us on your favorite podcast platform. Leave us a good review too. And if you're on Apple Podcasts, make sure you leave us a nice 5-star review if you so choose. That definitely helps us out. Also, check out houseoftheunusual.com. That's our flagship site, man. We have a great forum on there. A lot of interesting topics to go from. And also check us out on YouTube at House of the Unusual. Subscribe to our channel, like our videos. Eddie and Chuck are constantly putting out videos every week, so there's tons of stuff for you guys to do and to be a part of House of the Unusual. And if you're interested in being a guest on here, drop us a line over at houseoftheunusual.com and let us know that you want to be on and what you're interested in talking about. So that being said, Merry Christmas to everybody out there. Once again, thank you for joining us. Chuck, Cheri, Eddie, Merry Christmas to you guys. Be safe, be healthy, have a good time, and that's about it. So hope everyone enjoyed this Christmas edition of House of the Unusual, and we will see you guys next week. So take care, good night, and Merry Christmas.
Take care now.
Merry
Bye.
Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.